How to ask for a raise. 9 tips to get you more money at your job. If this is your first time here, I'm Chris. This is the Office Survival Guide channel where I give you the tips not just to survive the office week, but give you the skills you need to crush it. And in this video, we're going to be talking about getting more money, how to ask your boss for the amount of money you deserve. So let's get right into it with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is when you're asking for a raise, it is best done in person or as close to in person as possible, specifically not over email. So if you are at work in person, ask your boss in person for a raise. If you're not in person, do it over a video teleconference, do it over a phone call. Asking for a raise is a discussion and definitely not something you lob over email, so figure out how to do it in a way that you can have a discussion. Tip number 2, do your research about what other people are paid in your profession and in your local region that you're working in. If you can come to your boss and show that you are underpaid relative to your peers, that's a pretty good argument for why you need more money. Now, when you're putting this argument together and you're putting a number out there, you definitely should put a specific number out there. If you make 50,000 and you want 60,000, go ahead and say that. Say, hey, I am looking for a raise. I feel I'm underpaid relative to my peers. I've done my research. Other people that are, in marketing as a marketing manager in the area of Buffalo, New York, all make about $60,000. I'm only getting paid $50,000, so I would like a raise commensurate to my peers to $60,000. You could also come with a percentage increase to say, hey, I'm looking for a 10% raise, but definitely don't come into your boss with a range. Don't come in and say, hey, I'm looking for a raise about 5 to 10% or $5,000 to $10,000, because your boss is always going to pick the lower end of that range since you said you're open to it. Tip number 3. Now, this is a slightly different tactic than tip number 2 of saying that you're underpaid. This tip is to present a case to your boss that you are worth more than everybody else in your office. And the reason why you're worth more is either because you bring in more money somehow, you bring in more sales, you have more clients, you have more customers, or because you generate more value to the organization than everybody else does. Because you're a top performer, you do 3 times as much, you complete things 5 times as fast. So that's another case that you could make to your boss as to why you want more money. Now, as a side note, something that really helps you make this case is if your boss already knows you're a superstar. How would your boss know you're a superstar? Well, if throughout the year you've been sharing information with your boss about all the great things you'll be doing, they already know. And when you come in and say, hey, I deserve more money because I'm better than my peers, your boss will say, you know what, you are better than your peers. But just in case they don't know that, and you work in a large organization where perhaps your boss has to take this information up the management chain, you might want to consider actually bringing the material for your arguments about why you need a raise printed out in the form of a letter. Consider drafting a letter with these points, either the case about you're underpaid relative to your peers or you're the rock star. Write it down, print it out, bring it with you, leave it there for your manager so that if they need to convince other managers in the organization, they absolutely can. Because if you work in a large organization, chances are your boss actually won't be able to give you a raise on the spot. So that's tip number 4, is don't expect an on-the-spot raise. Expect this the first time you ask the question about can I get a raise, for your boss to say, hey, let me try to understand it. Let me see where you are. They'll have to go off and do some homework themselves and then come back to you with an answer. The answers of yes almost always work out that way. It might turn out that the answer of no does come right away. And if that's the case, don't consider this the last time you're asking for a raise. You're just priming the pump and you can absolutely ask again. If your boss does say no flat out, then you can ask the question, hey, well, what would I have to do to get to that number? If I'm making 50,000 right now and you're not going to give me a raise based on the evidence that I presented, what will I need to do to be able to get to that salary level? Tip number 5, this one's a don't. Definitely don't make your case about how long you've worked for the company or existed the company. Managers often call this entitlement syndrome, where their employees come to them and they feel entitled to a raise just for how long they've breathed air at the company. Nobody is entitled to a raise. You have to make a good case about either being underpaid or being a rock star, not about how long you've existed. Now, speaking of not being entitled, when you have the conversation with your boss, you want to seem humble, you want to seem appreciative, you want to seem loyal to the organization, because your boss is more likely to give somebody a raise if they're coming to them with that kind of humble, gracious thing. So, when you present the numbers, you say you're underpaid, don't go in there with guns a-blazing as an argument. It is absolutely a humble ask, and you can definitely talk about, hey, I really like working for this company. I love working here. I love the people that I work with. Just for me, this is a salary level that I need to get to within the next, 6 months, a year. What will it take to get there? As that previous conversation makes it something where then your boss might actually feel like they should give you a raise. Because if you come in and say, well, I deserve it because I've been here, and your boss might say, nobody deserves a raise for just being here. People earn a raise, so please tell me how you've earned that raise. Definitely don't make your case about why you need more money. Your boss doesn't really care about why you need more money. You might have a lot of car payments, you might have a big mortgage, your kids might go to really expensive school. Those are not good reasons to give you a raise, because when your boss is thinking about how much you earn and whether you should make more, in the back of the head they're thinking, how much would it cost to replace this person? And if they can replace you for less money than you're asking for in the raise, that's what they're going to do. So all those things about what you need, keep those to yourself. Tip number 6, always have a fallback position. If you're asking for $10,000, your boss might come back and say, well, I can't give you $10,000, how about 5? So I mentioned earlier, this is a discussion. It's almost a negotiation in a lot of companies, and so be prepared to negotiate. Know what your lower level threshold is. Even though I told you not to mention your range, it probably is worthwhile to have a range so that if your boss comes back and says, I can't give you 10, but you know what, I could give you more vacation days, I could be more flexible on telework, have those kinds of demands or other things you might want instead of a monetary raise. Me in particular, I'm really looking for my own dedicated nap pod in my office. That's if you can only give me $5,000, if you give me that nap pod, then I think I'm in. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video and if you enjoy naps, then please give this video a thumbs up. Really helps the channel out, helps me with the YouTube algorithm, tells YouTube that you like this video so YouTube can share it with more people. Tip number 7, this is another don't, because it's a mistake that I've seen a lot of other people make, and it's don't threaten to leave the company unless you get a raise, unless you're actually willing to leave. You might think that you're the most important person to the company. Your boss might not have the same view, and so if you say, well, I can't work here anymore unless I get $10,000 more money, you should be prepared for your boss to say, well, I'm sorry, I can't give you that extra raise, and so in that case, let me escort you to human resources, right? Don't make that threat unless you're prepared to honor it. Now, related to that threat, I also think something that almost never works related to pay increases are people who are trying to leverage another offer someplace else as a way to get a raise at their current company. This will work sometimes, but more often than not, it doesn't. And the reason why is because by the time you've said, I've interviewed at this other company, I have a higher offer, your manager, your current company is probably going to be thinking, this person has one foot out the door anyway. If I give them more money, it might keep them around for another year, but they're already looking, and so chances are they'll still be on their way out their door. Your manager will probably just wish you luck in that new job. Now, if you really did get a good offer someplace and you actually want to think about leveraging that at your current company, the way to do it is not as a threat about leaving, but it's much more a conversation about how, hey boss, a headhunter called me. I interviewed at this other company just kind of at a whim. They gave me an offer. The salary was really impressive. And I turned it down because I actually really like working here, but it got me to thinking, what are my prospects in this company? And if your boss says something like, man, that was $30,000 more than here. You really should take that because there's no way that we could ever get you there. Well, that's something to have in your back pocket about like, okay, well, they're never going to get me to there. But if you have a good boss who really likes you and wants to keep you around, they will take that conversation as a cue to say, okay, let's talk about your career goals and let's talk about what we can do to actually get you to that salary level. Or maybe we can't get you to it, but what can we do to try to get you close? Tip number 8. Ask for a raise at a good time. Chris, what's a good time? Well, a good time is when your boss is in a good mood, for one. If your boss is having a really bad day, there's been a lot of bad news in the company, probably not a great time to ask for a raise. If your company is barely keeping their doors open due to the COVID-19 pandemic, probably also not a good time to ask for a raise. Now, if your company is one of those that's making tons of money, they've just announced, profits are through the roof, hey, that's a great time to ask for more money. Another great time to ask for a raise is if your company does annual performance reviews or twice yearly performance review, whatever that performance review schedule is, that's a good time to have the salary discussion with your boss because chances are they're already primed for it. And if you're timing your question asking with your performance review, then chances are you've also spent a lot of time writing down all the great work you've done over the past year, and so you've already got a pretty good thing to present to your boss about why you are a rock star in the organization. Tip number 9, be prepared for some new responsibilities to come with that new money that you're going to make. If you're asking for $10,000 more, be prepared for your boss to counter with, well, I can give you a raise, but I'm going to need you to do X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to do that if I give you this raise? So if you say, absolutely not, chances are you're not going to get that raise. So be prepared for that negotiation, not just of total salary, vacation days, is it maybe less, but be prepared to negotiate about what the job is that you're actually doing because it might come with more work for that extra money. Now, throughout this discussion with your boss, if you find out that there's like a snowball's chance in hell that you're actually gonna get a salary increase and you really think you deserve it, then chances are you're gonna start looking for other jobs. And so if you do that, you're gonna need to update your resume and you're gonna need to know how to interview on Video Interviews, the art of today. Check out my videos right here for those 2 topics. You'll also find links in the description below. As usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in one of these videos.